and obviously we had a couple Saturdays missed, but nevertheless, we're back in full effect. We're gonna ultimately, the goal is to have this recurring every Saturday at 10 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. If you have some folks that uh, would be able to utilize and give value from the information that we're going to share, obviously we want you to send an invite to them as well, get them in on the conversation, and so they can add some value, or at least get some value added to them to get their week rolling, or to cap off their week. So hold on one second, guys. Let me make some adjustments here. All right, cool. So just wanted to do a quick recap from the previous conversation we had. So in the last conversation we had, we pretty much introduced the platform, if you will. So again, it's a mindset training. Again, that we're going to be doing every Saturday. The goal is not to be on the call very long, but to offer value in terms of in terms of a paradigm shift, if you will, or a mentality, a different approach to things that you may are already experiencing, but just a different way of looking at them. Okay, and so just to kind of recap again, guys, my name is Justin Pinkston, from right here in Richmond, Virginia. I'm not sure where you guys are, but born and raised right here in Richmond. And throughout the course of my I would say business experience, I was privileged enough to make some alignments, some connections with some people who shared some things with me that I believe really um, was really transformational in a sense. And I say that respectfully, and really, you hear transformation all the time. You hear life changing all the time. These type of words, these type of analogies or descriptions, and I believe sometimes they're overplayed in a sense. But when I really say transformational in a sense, I mean literally the information that I received was allowed me to transform. Okay, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Most people, you know, um, most people learn or have a belief system from the things that they experience first in their life. Okay, and what I mean by that is, you have a people that you're genuinely connected to, or that you're connected to via by birth. So these people have an influence on your paradigm. Your paradigm is your habitual way of thinking. Okay, what you believe in. Okay, and when you grow up, okay, that whatever you experience in life, you believe most, or the thing that enters your mind first, you believe most. Okay. Now, our belief systems, we adopt our belief systems from our parents or the people who are closest around us. Okay. And one of the ways I talked about in our first session that impacts your belief system is credible people that speak into your life. Okay. So credible people that speak into my life has an impact on what I believe. Okay. So a credible person would be your mother, your father, your grandparent, a person that, um, that you deem successful, but have a personal connection to you. Okay. These are credible people. Okay. And so, you know, a credible person may be sincere. Of course, a lot of times they are sincere, but they can give you information that may be incorrect. Okay, or they may be giving you information that was correct at one point, but it's not correct any longer. Okay, it's outdated information. And so I'm saying all of it to say is sometimes we adopt belief systems or adopt paradigms. Our paradigms are shaped by ideals that no longer serve us in today's society. Okay, and so it's important to understand how our paradigms are created, what shapes our paradigms, and how to restructure those paradigms. Okay, how to reset, okay, those paradigms, if you will. And so, this morning again, just to kind of recap what we talked about the four things, the four elements that affect our belief system. Okay. Now, just to kind of bring this home here, you want to understand why we're talking about belief and why belief is so important. Well, there's a principle, right? And we talked about principles also last session. And so a principle, you want to look up the word principle, but a principle is something that it cannot be refuted. Principle is like gravity. What goes up must come down. Now, you may not understand it. In the beginning, let's say you didn't know anything about gravity. Okay. At some point, Saul, we didn't know what gravity was, but we were experiencing it. Right. And so it wasn't until we understood, what gravity was that we adopted the principle in the sense that we didn't go against it. Right. And so principle is something that's just automatic is going to happen. Right. And so you want to make sure that you understand principles or that you live a principle based life. OK, so you're not fighting against something that's going to be evident, that's going to be apparent, that's going to exist, whether or not you acknowledge it or agree with it or not. Okay. And so when we look at the principle, okay, of belief, right? In the scripture, in the ancient text, it says, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. Okay. As you believe, so shall it be done unto you. Okay. And so when we look at that, and that's a principle. Now, some people say, well, you know what? I believe, okay. I believe whatever, right? But sometimes you don't understand that you may not be believing. Or sometimes you may be believing and you may not know that you're believing, right? And that's a little tricky. So we'll break that down also. But why is it important to understand how your belief system works? Is because the law of life is the law of beliefs. The law of life, you will want to start taking notes, you can do that. But the law of life is the law of belief. What does that mean? Well, that means that whatever it is that you're going to ever achieve in life, everything that you're going to achieve, everything that you're going to do, that you're going to create, that you're going to become, okay, that you're going to aspire to be, everything that you're ever going to complete is because you first believed it, right? Now, some people say, they may have heard some information and they like the information. They say, well, okay, well, I believe the information. Well, just because you agree with the information doesn't mean you completely believe it yet, okay? Just because, and I'm going to repeat that, just because you agree with the information doesn't mean that you believe it yet. Okay. Doesn't mean that you believe it yet. See, belief, okay, belief is physical. And I'm going to give you another word here that you're probably familiar with. Faith. Faith is spiritual. They kind of go hand in hand, right? But belief is physical. Faith is spiritual. Now, when you have both combined together and they work together, that's when really the magic happens. Okay. So let's break down here belief for a second. The master teacher taught us, as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. Okay. And so now how do I get to the point of believing? Right. Well, belief takes place in the heart. Okay. Biblical believing takes place in the heart. Okay. And I won't break down the scripture of text, but believing, the word says, if I believe in my heart. Okay. Now, it's important to understand that you got to control what goes into your heart. And this is why some people don't understand, how to get from one level to the next, or if they got to one level, the next level, how they got there. It's because you created something, right, that got down into your heart. Okay. You created something that got down into your heart. Napoleon Hill, who authored Think and Grow Rich, he said desire is the starting point of all achievement. Desire is the starting point of all achievement. So that means whatever it is that you're going to achieve in life, you first have to have a desire for it. Okay. And so believing, again, takes place in the heart, but also that's where desire is created. Okay. Desire is manifested in the heart. Okay. And so believing, I want you to understand, believing is the physical. So you may have actually used this term or this reference before as well. I'll believe it when I see it. Right. And that's because most people believing is physical. You have to see it. You have to see it. Okay. I love, this, if and I'm a novice on the Bible, but if you know the story of Thomas, right? Most people, reference him as doubting Thomas. He was the only one disciple that wouldn't believe that the master was brought back from the dead. Okay. That he raised on the third day. So all the disciples came to him. They said, you know what, Thomas, hey man, we saw Jesus, man. We saw him, he came back. Thomas wasn't there when Jesus came back. So Thomas said, you know what? I will not believe. He said, unless I can see him, I can put my finger in his side where y'all talking about these holes at. And, he got, I saw him when they stabbed him, they put the nails in him. He said, until I see him, man, I'm not believing, right? Seeing is believing. Okay. And so that's so important. Now, how do you get to the point where you believe? Well, you have to see it. Okay. You have to see it. Now, you can see it. There's certain ways that you can actually, that you can see it, even if it hasn't manifested yet. God gave us the ability, okay, to create things, right? Because we are created in his image. And again, this is not going to be I just want to caution you guys. I mean, from the standpoint of, I'm not going to be preaching a sermon or anything like that, but, I believe that it's important to understand that principles are principles, most of the principles that are, all of the principles really that are in the world that are timeless, they came from the beginning, all right? And if you know where the beginning is, it's hard to refute that these principles come from the ultimate source, right? And that's to say the Bible, okay? And that's just my what I believe, okay? Is truth, is foundational. And so again, whether or not you believe it, it's just the proof. Okay. And so when we talk about, some of the principles we're going to talk about, they're timeless, they're irrefutable, they're laws, that just cannot be refuted, to be redundant. But, going back to belief and what Thomas said, he said, I will not believe unless I see it. Right. And so, again, when you look at how believing works, it's important to understand that it's so magnificent in the way that once you get into the flow of understanding it and operating in belief, you can really start to predict certain things. Okay. But what God gave us, he gave us the ability to create, okay, because we're co-creators. The word says we were created in his image. Now, he created all things. He created the heavens and the earth, right? He created everything that we can see, the invisible and the visible, okay? Now, the thing was, when he created, okay, watch this now. When he created the heavens and the earth, when he created the earth, right, he spoke it into existence. Right? He spoke it into existence. Right? And so if we're created in his image, guess what? He gave us the ability to speak things into existence as well. Okay. And so, words are spirit. Words are spirit. When you speak something, right, it's at that point created. Napoleon Hill's first words in the book Think and Grow Rich, he said, thoughts are things. Okay. See, when you think about something, that's automatically you're putting it into the ether, right, if you will, or the thought is now transitioning to become a thing, right? Thought, right? Most people don't understand how powerful their thoughts are, right? And so that's why the word tells us bring every thought into captivity, right? To put something in captivity, it means you gotta, to take somebody captive, right? To take somebody captive, that means you're holding them against their will. You gotta hold every thought against its will, because every thought isn't designed to benefit you. Every thought isn't designed to take you to the next level, in a good way. And so you got to bring every thought into captivity, because what happens is if you don't control your thinking, or if you don't evaluate where this thought is coming from, and you keep giving life to it, that means you meditate on that thought, right? You're putting it into a forward motion, which is now making it a thing. Now it's already a thing, but the more energy you give to it, right? The more attention you give to that thought. Your emotions, right? Your emotions give it life, right? This is why fear is so critical. And the world uses fear. Fear is man-made, but the people who invoke fear, they understand that if I can get a person to meditate on this thought, on this bad thought, long enough to incite the emotions of fear, guess what? That thought is now going to manifest in physical form, right? It was Job that said, if you know the story of Job, he was a servant of God, but Job said, the thing that I fear most has come upon me. Why is that? The thing that I fear most has come upon me. It's because whatever you concentrate on the most, whatever you give the most attention to, is going to produce a strong enough emotion to bring that into physical form. Okay. Hopefully you get that. See, everybody on this call, you could probably remember a time that when you were scared something was going to happen, and then it happened, right? You was so scared. You was like, man, I hope this thing don't happen. I hope this don't even happen. And why did it happen? It didn't happen because it was going to happen. It happened because you were so you could see it happening. Not only could you see it happen, you could feel it happening, right? And because the law of God is so real and the universe is so real, right? Whatever you believe, right, and image and see, you've already saw it happening. Okay. Hopefully this is making sense. If this making sense to you, I want you to type it in the chat. Makes sense, right? Because you can see it. And I told you, believing is seeing, right? Because you already pictured in your mind, you visualize this thing, right, happening. You start to now create the emotions that it was, man, this thing is happening. This is how I would feel if this thing is happening. Whatever the situation is, bad or good. Mostly if it's a fear, right, it's a bad situation. You don't want this thing to happen. But what happened? Sure enough, guess what? Boom, it happened, right? Why did it happen? Because the attention that you was given to it produced the emotion, right, that pushed it into the physical form, the physical manifestation. Okay. Now, why am I sharing all of this? I'm sharing all of this because in order for you to go to the next level in life, you have to now create this emotion or create this circumstance on purpose for you. It can't be an offset. It can't be something that just happens to you as a result of somebody else controlling you, okay, or fear control, because the negative is always going to happen automatically, okay? The negative is always going to happen automatically. Now, in order for the positive to happen, you have to consciously be aware of that, and you have to facilitate that process, okay? You have to facilitate the positive. If you're going to get to the next level in life, right? If we're all going to get to the next level in life, we have to facilitate that process. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When you're facilitating that process, you have to understand, right? Appreciate that, Mr. Tuck. You have to understand that there's certain ways, certain levels. There are certain levels, okay, of this that you're going to have to that you're going to have to adopt, okay, and understand, because believing there's different levels to belief, right? And so, once you identify, where you are and where you're trying to go, okay, you have to identify. You have to look at the different levels, okay. Now, again, speaking on some of the things we spoke about last session. The elements, okay, that affect my belief system, my environment, okay. My environment, again, has an impact on my belief. Credible people speaking into my life has an impact on what I believe, okay. Repetitious information, repetitious information, repetitious information has an impact on what I believe. And last but not least, Last but not least, you have experiences. My personal experiences. My personal experiences have an impact on what I believe. Now, here's where it really gets exciting, guys, because you knowing this information, you personally knowing this information that I just gave you, you can now control your belief system. Okay. You can now control your belief system. If it's something that you aspire to be, if there's something physical that you want, you can now start to manifest it just by knowing what impacts your belief system. And if something that you're believing for, okay, if there's something that you want right now, right, you can now identify some of the areas that may be preventing you from getting there. See, a lot of times people, want something so bad. They're praying to God. They're asking for, oh man, God to make this thing happen for me, right? And you're praying and you're asking for it, and you're hoping for it, but you don't understand. You're not believing for it yet, okay? And you're not believing for it because there's something that's impacting your belief system in a negative way, right? You may be believing, to be the first person to do something incredible in your family. But guess what? You got a person, you got repetitious information that's coming into you, right? From watch this now, a credible person that speaks into your life. So here you got two things now that's impacting your belief system. Repetitious information that's contrary to what you believe, and also a credible person, right? That's speaking into your life. It may be a spouse, right? It may be a mother, father, sister, auntie, uncle, brother, whoever that is. It could be a credible person. Now, that's two things right now, right, that impact your belief system. Okay. And this is real deal, guys, because some people get stuck and they don't understand why they're not creating the results they want. They don't understand why am I stuck here? Why haven't I moved forward, with what it is that I'm hoping for. Okay. Right. And I can't say believing for yet, because believing is not taking place yet. Believing is not taking place because your belief system is being impacted in a negative way. Okay. And so again, I'm gonna keep giving these to you until you understand. Like I said, repetitious information is what's going to impact your belief system, right? So the more I give you these principles here, these four elements that impact your belief system, I want to give them to you until you can spit them verbatimly, until you can now see this stuff in your real life, in your everyday life, and you can now understand, wow, this is impacting me in a negative way. I need to do something about this. Okay. So number one is your environment, right? Everything around you. Again, we talk about a dream board, or we've heard of a dream board before, right? You don't need a dream board. You need a dream environment. Okay. Because your environment, watch this now, your environment, because we're creatures of habit, we automatically adapt to our environment. Right? You can put us anywhere. You can put us in Alaska. You can put us in Antarctica. You can put us in any climate, Africa, Europe, Asia, right? We're going to adapt as human beings to whatever that environment is. Okay. If I'm African descent, right? If I was a baby and I grew up in China, okay, from birth, guess what? I'd be speaking Chinese because I would have to adapt to that environment. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Your environment is so important because you're in it every single day. Every single day you're in your environment. And if you're in your dwelling, you create that environment. Okay. Why is that important? Because if you're in a place where you spend hours, let's say, at least 10 hours a day, you got to understand that, again, because believing is seeing is believing. You would have had to create the environment in order for you to see yourself achieving what it is that you want, because your subconscious mind can't determine fact from fiction. It only takes the information that you give it. This is how God created the mind, right? He created the conscious mind, right? Which is the information you consciously put it into, right? This is where you actually have to create the environment. But he also created the subconscious mind. That subconscious mind dictates everything that happens automatic in your life. It also dictates the people and places and things around you that brings it all into the physical manifestation. Okay, it connects everything together. It's the universal mind. It's the God mind that connects everything together once you believe. Okay, and so if you want to start creating results in your life, you got to first understand, number one, I got to create the environment that's going to feed the beliefs that I want. Right. So if I'm at my house 24/7, okay, I got to be seeing images. Okay, words, images, and emotions produces an experience, creates an experience. So I got to be seeing images. I got to be seeing pictures all around. Okay, I got to be seeing pictures all around of what it is that I want or where it is I want to be. Okay, now understand this: most people, this is going to be contrary to how average and ordinary people operate. Understand this: there's about 30 million, okay, 30 million, close to 30 million millionaires in this country. Okay, there's about 14 million people, 14 million people, households that have over $1 million in assets, and this is outside of their home, right? And Jason, Mr. Hanna, actually does a wonderful breakdown on this. He's the numbers guy, but he understands that the decision to become a millionaire is just a decision in this country, right? And not even just in this country, in the world. It's about taking the information and being disciplined with the information and making the decision to do it and get there, right? But I'm sharing that with you because at one point, it was to be a millionaire was just this big, this huge goal. But 11% of the population in this country are millionaires right now. 11%. It used to be 3%. Then it was 5%. Now it's 11%, right? And with things like cryptocurrency and other things like that are coming out now, it's getting bigger, right? And so why am I sharing that? Well, I'm sharing that is because, when you think about a goal, a lofty goal, it's so achievable when you follow these principles and you understand how to create it. Excuse me. So number one, environment, right? Creating the environment where you can see it every day, right? Creating the environment, creating a circumstance where you can speak it every day. I was talking to Jason and, he was showing me on his phone where he has certain reminders, okay, set up on his phone automatically. The technology that we have is amazing, where he set his reminder for him to speak his goal every single day. And faith comes by hearing, right? But also believing repetitious information, right? What are you saying to yourself? It's also going to impact what you believe. Now, again, guys, this is going to be contrary to what people do. 95% of people don't operate this way, right? And it's because they don't operate this way is what helps them facilitating the same results that they get over and over again, day in, day out, week in, year out, right? But if you're going to do something tremendous, right? If you're going to do something that's never been done before in your life and in your family's life, you got to understand you got to do something different than what anyone in your family has ever done before. Anything that they've ever done before. Okay. Now it may say it's not hocus pocus. It's not anything other than just focusing. Right. I got a friend that says it's not hocus pocus, it's focus. Most people can't focus. And in the age of inundated information, where information flies from every source that you can think about, it's all about focusing, right? It's all about cutting off all these different streams of outlets and media to be able to focus on one piece of information, one system, one strategy, right? For an extended period of time until you start to see those results. Focus. Okay. So again, getting back to Jason, he has this reminder on his phone that tells him to speak his goals every single day. Right. And so that's perfect because why? When he speaks it, right? And I'm going to give you something here. When you speak it, it's auto suggestion. What is auto suggestion? Auto suggestion is what I'm saying to myself, what I'm affirming, right? If you're a biblical scholar, it's my confession. right? My confession is what I'm hearing, okay? Confession is coming out of my heart, right? Well, guess what? It's coming out of my mouth, and God created me in His image, so I'm speaking spirit, which is now it's operating in the physical, right? It's coming. It's the ether. It's out, right? Now, whether it manifests or not is how much attention I'm sending it out. I'm sending it, right? Okay. Now, whether or not it's going to come or it's going to manifest is going to be determined by how often or how much strength I'm sending it. Okay. So I send it out once, right? Now, if I only send it out once, guess what it's going to do? It's not strong enough. It's going to dissipate, right? It's not going to materialize. But if I send it out once and I'm sending it out again and I'm sending, guess what? It's gaining momentum. It's gaining strength, right? And guess what? When I send it out, again, auto suggestion is coming back here, right? So it's manifested. And guess what? When I hear it, repetition is information. It don't even matter where it comes from, right? If it's the right information, then guess what? It's going to come right down here, right? Now, right or wrong information is still going to come here. But what I'm saying to myself, I believe, right, is coming back here, right? And now, guess where it's going? It's going into my subconscious mind. It's going into my subconscious mind, right? Now, people who are, and these are people you've heard the negative terminology of pathological liars and all this type of stuff like that. These people lie so much that they start to believe their lies. Why? How's that possible? Well, because it's repetition, right? It's repetition. It's law, right? And so you can be that. So if you break down the word believe, right? BE, then LIEVE, you got to be the lie before. What is Eve? EVE is before. It comes before, right? You got to be the lie before it happens. Believe it. Be lie Eve, right? That means you got to see it before it even manifests. Hopefully that makes sense. And so, again, we're talking about environment is the first thing. We're going to adapt to our environment. Okay, we got to adapt to our environment. If you're not in that place yet, you don't have enough pictures up. Okay, you're not seeing it enough. Okay, right. But the second thing is the credible people that's speaking into your life. All right, credible people that's speaking into your life. Again, we don't have to spend too much time on this, but these are just the people, and right? If somebody says something that's contrary to what you're hoping for, you automatically feel it. You automatically know that this person doesn't believe like I do, or they're not hoping for the same thing. Now, this may be a person that, again, that's close to you, all right? And they may be sincerely concerned about you. They might not want to see you disappointed. They might not want to see whatever the case is, right? It may not work for them, something that they did, right? But that doesn't have anything to do with you. And so what you got to do is you got to evaluate the relationship and evaluate the information that's coming from this person. You got to say, you know what? I choose not to intake this information, right? And now, if it's a person that you can, of course, have a season of separation from, you may not spend as much time with this person. But if it's a person you got to live with, you gotta. That's going to be a conversation, obviously. Okay. And so, sharing that to say is you got to understand that element of impacting your belief system. Now, number three, and I won't spend too much time on that. Like I said, number two, but number three is that repetition is information. Now, we've kind of beat this down a bit here, but again, the repetition is information. Is any information, right? Now, information comes from various sources. I'm gonna break down two types of information. You got heterosuggestion. Okay, heterosuggestion is information that comes from outside of you. Okay, outside of you, information that comes from outside of you. You got the news, you got the media, you got your, relatives, you got, coworkers, you got all this other, you got social media, all this information. Now you can get information, okay, that may not be incongruent to what your goal is. okay, or where you're trying to go, okay? So if you're getting information that may not be congruent to where it is that you're trying to go, that's not in alignment with you, okay, that could be devastating, okay, to your process. And it can make your process longer than really what it has to be. And so you want to control the information. You know, in my last company I was in, you know, it was so serious, these principles, that you oftentimes you would see people just walk around with earbuds in because they were so they were so focused on not getting the wrong information. They didn't want something to come in and cancel out something that they was already working hard to manifest. Okay. And if it's something that you're seriously believing for right now, you gotta take that same approach. It depends on really how serious you are about it. Okay. How serious are you about seeing something that you're hoping for manifest in physical form? Right? If you're serious about it, then you'll take that approach. You'll really take that approach. And somebody, well, Justin, you know, it shouldn't take all of that. Well, it, is it how fast you want to see it? You know, how fast you want to see it. You know, and it really does take all of that. You know, I had the pleasure of really watching this stuff take place, you know, in my life. But, you know, more importantly, God had positioned me in a place where I could see it working for a gentleman, you know, who was just, you know, no different than anybody on this call. But he was so diligent and persistent and consistent, you know, and it was almost like it was just you know, you would have thought he was fanatical about it. And he was, because he believed it. Okay. And so what I'm saying to you is, you know, take the information, and depending on where you are, how serious are you about it? If you're really serious, you will apply it. Okay. You'll apply it and you'll be diligent with it. Okay. So number 3, repetition is information. So information, again, that's not serving you, cut it all off, block it all out. Don't even let it occupy any mental space, you know, in your mind. Okay. Because again, information flows. It's got to go somewhere, right? No information doesn't go anywhere. If you're entertaining it, understand it's going to either come to your conscious mind, and it can filter into your heart, which can either pull you away or pull you towards where it is that you're looking to go. All right. And the last thing is personal experiences. Okay. This I love. Personal experiences I love because, again, we live in an ocean of motion. All right. Those things that we want. Okay. Those things that we want to have, to achieve, to accomplish, we got to first experience this, you know. And I know we got traders on the line, and I like to use Jason's analogy all the time. You know, in the beginning of trading, you know, in my mind, I couldn't really justify, you know, utilizing these big balances. You know, you open up a brokerage account, they want to give you $5 million to trade with, and I'm like, man, you know, I can't get with that. It's just not real to me. You know, it's not, you know. But here's the thing, you know, if at some point you aspire to get to $5 million, why wouldn't you trade with $5 million? Right. And so, you know, again, you know, you got to see it. You got to see it. Y'all see that, right? You got to see it to believe it. Okay. If I don't ever start trading with $5 million, guess what? I won't ever be trading with $5 million. If I don't ever see myself trading, I'm going to say that again. If I don't ever see myself trading with $5 million, then I won't ever see myself trading with $5 million. Hopefully that makes sense. And so, you know, it wasn't until I had a conversation with Jason that I was just like, you know, man, I was completely missing that. Right. And so, you know, and see, Jason says, I can see it and feel it. When I talk to Jason now, and that's real. That's real. He says, man, you know, I talk to him now. He's so excited, man. He says, man, I had this account, man. You know, I had this account up to $400,000. You know, I took it from 20,000. I dropped back down. I took it to $400,000.
600,000. 600.
Stand corrected. 600K, $600,000. You know, and guess what? The emotion is what he's after, right? Yeah, it's a demo account, but the emotion is what he's after, because why? When he feels that, right? When he feels that, guess what happens? Realize trading full time. That's what I'm talking about. When you feel that, all you got to do is feel it, right? but you got to feel it enough. Once you feel it enough, right, it's going to filter into your subconscious mind. Now, your subconscious mind don't know if that's a demo account or a live account. It doesn't. It only takes the information that you're giving it, right? And so once you fill your subconscious mind with that experience enough, your physiology, right? Your whole makeup starts to change. It starts to shift. This is what's called a paradigm shift. Now, you can't do it one time and expect the manifestation to take place. No, it's habitual, it's consistent, right? Over and over and over. They said it takes 21 days to establish a habit, but it takes 90 days. Get this now, 90 days in order for transformation to take place. 90 days. You got to be consistent with that. 21, write that date, write that down. 21 to establish a habit, and 90 days for the transformation to take place. This is where that quantum leap takes place, that paradigm shift, right? It only takes 90 days. That's 3 months, right? But being consistent, can you be consistent for 3 months? What the principles we're talking about today, right? What it is that you're believing for. 3 months. Now, you're going to have days where you get challenged. Kids may not be acting right, a disagreement with your spouse, something, tire blowout, whatever, right? Whatever the situation, that's life, right? But when life happens to you, you got to happen back to life, period, right? Because we're more than conquerors, right? That's what the word says, okay? And so you got to understand, look, because I set this goal, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be hunky-dory. No, it just actually means the opposite, right? He promised us that we're going to have some challenges, right? And so when you do that, understand that you going through this process is a worthwhile goal. It's something that most people, again, 95% of people are never, ever going to embark on this journey. And those that do, a very small percentage actually get through that process. And very small, because it's 90 days of consistent. And that's why this group is so important. That's why these calls are so important, because you want to be running with people who have a like faith, who have dreams and ambitions that align with where it is that you're going, so you can encourage each other, you can motivate each other, not just encourage yourself, but motivate each other throughout the process. Okay. And so that personal experience was the last the last thing that affects your belief system. Personal experiences. What experiences are you giving yourself? I just used a trading account as one experience, right? For those of you who are traders, right? Do it. Even though you have your live account, get that demo account set up. That shows that high balance. Start trading with it, right? Start trading with it so you can feel it. You can say it. I'm a multi-millionaire. Say it to yourself. There's a mirror technique. I'm gonna give you this audio. Not the strangest secret. The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. The Magic of Believing, right? If you haven't heard this, listen to it, but don't just listen to it once. Listen to it over and over and over and over and over again. I promise you, right? The first time it's going to sound crazy, right? But I'm telling you, you listen to that thing over and over and over again. There's techniques he gives you, applicable things that you can do right away. One of the things he talks about is the mirror technique. Okay, you're looking in the mirror. You're looking into your soul. You're looking into your eyes, and you're telling yourself what it is that you want or who it is that you are. I am, right? Okay, because I am is so powerful. All right. But the Magic of Believing, you want to make sure you have that in your playlist. Okay. Another one I can think of is just The Strangest Secret, of course. And I believe I've given these before. But again, this is the repetitious information again that's going to help you impact your belief system. Information in that information. That means it goes in and it forms the action, right? It's once it gets inside of you, just like even this call, motivational videos, right? It goes inside of you, and then it forms something. You get inspired when you hear it, right? And then guess what? You take action, makes you want to do something. The right information, right, will drive you towards your goals, right? The other book was the Strangest Secret. Okay, The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. Now these are audios. I love audios because guess what? It goes right into your mental space, right? Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by one. So the more I hear it, guess what? I'm getting the right information, right? And so, we got up 24 hours in a day. This is what I used to do. I said, we got 24 hours in a day. If I go to sleep for 6 hours and I go to sleep with these on, right? I know 6 hours, I'm getting the right information. Now, if I got to go to work for 8 hours, whatever, and do that, right? I get off for another, 6 plus 8, that's 14. I still got another 10 hours. How much more of the right information I'm going to get, consciously, right? And I had to do this. I had to do this on purpose, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to take again, 21 days to instill the habit, then take it out for another 60 plus to see that paradigm shift, to see that jump. People look back and say, man, how did he do that? How did she do that? Right? It was because I was disciplined, right? Discipline, right? Now everything around you is still going to be, it's still going to be doing what it do, right? But you have to be disciplined, right? And so again, we actually might put something together. I'm actually feeling inspired now to create some type of 90-day group so we can hold ourselves accountable to doing certain things, to make sure, we can do that, right? So if you up for a 90-day run, what being disciplined and consistent, with your goals, I want you to put it in the chat. If you're for a 90-day run, we'll put something together for that, just a private group where we can do that. And we can track our results so we can share testimonials, right? I think that would be awesome. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So we'll put that together. We'll put that together. But again, hopefully you guys got something out of this call. Not meant to be a very long call. We actually wanted to do 30 minutes. I know we got on a little bit late. But we appreciate everybody hopping on the call this morning. Again, we'll be back here next Saturday, 10 a.m. And I just want to open up the call to see if we have any questions, any comments, anything at all we want to add or share any value before we close the call out this morning.
Absolutely, Mr. Pinkston. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, Mr. Jones. I got you loud and clear.
Gotcha. So one thing I want to say about what we do motivational wise, it's important that, people know kind of our struggles, right? Or our obstacles, I would say. I wouldn't say struggles, but even getting on the call a day or our trading calls, everybody on this phone is either married, about to be married, have kids, got multiple kids, about to have some kids, right? So, I'm sitting here right now with my 1-year-old with 2 tablets, trying to keep her occupied, as well as, get the motivation that I need. And I think people need to know that they need to just stop making excuses. That's really what I want to get to, stop making excuses. Oh, I got my kids with me, I can't come. Bring them, right? I know many times we brought our own kids, because one, they need to be instilled in our brotherhood to know, hey, these are the quality people in your dad's life, right? And this is the information that your parents are putting into their atmosphere, because we know the importance of that information, right? We know that importance, right?
That's right.
Telling me no, but yeah, up late, early mornings, late nights, like you said, if it's something that you really want bad enough, you're willing to do the things necessary to go through it. If you don't want it bad enough, you're going to let any and every excuse hold you back before you can go into doing that, into getting that, right? And I think that's important that we share that a little bit.
Absolutely. I agree 100% because, this is, this is life. This is that part of life that we talked about. Life is not just going to stop happening, and Jason says this all the time, but, your children, shouldn't be your excuse. It's your reason, and so, Jason is a great example. He has 4 children, and but everybody's situation is a little bit different. You may have to bring your kids. You may have to create, like I'll give you an example. My situation last night, I thought I was going to be able to be at the library this morning. My mother-in-law, my wife's mother, stated that she was going to be able to watch the kids this morning. I mean, this morning they were supposed to go over her house last night. And at the end of the day, she got called into work. And so, what are you going to do? You just gotta, you gotta make it work in spite of. You gotta push past, push forward. You gotta keep moving. And so, those when those challenges come, you got to look at that as an opportunity for growth, right? How am I going to respond to this challenge? And you're going to be more proud of yourself that you push through in spite of at the end of the day, because everybody, if you think about it, everybody, has an excuse. One of the things I heard, I can remember, excuses are tools of the incompetent, and that's the thing, any excuse will do, really, any excuse. I mean, just pick one, right? But when you talk about, like Mr. Jones, like you said, man, it's important for people to understand those challenges because, we all have them. Nobody's omitted from challenges on this journey. So appreciate you for sharing, Mr. Jones. Definitely a tremendous asset to what it is that we're doing.
Yeah, I want to say something too.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you being the servant leader that you are and spitting the knowledge this morning. Sorry for this situation issue this morning, but you gave me a little plug as far as the repetition information and having the alert set up on your phone. So anybody that want to kind of see what that is, I use Google Keep. And in fact, I didn't realize it now because I use Google Calendar too. When I put an alert on my Google Keep, it adds it on my calendar. And so I created my goals and on Google Keep, and on the top right is a bell icon. You can hit that and set a daily reminder. So I did one at first thing in the morning when I get up. And then at the bottom, you can make a copy of that reminder. And then I do another one midday, and I do another one in the evening time. So I have it popping up 3 times a day, for me to stay focused on my goals. And like I said, it somehow it automatically dropped it on my calendar because of that alert, that reminder. So Google Calendar is huge time management asset. And when it comes to, like you said, the repetition of information, it's automatic. It's an AI kicked in, AI, artificial intelligence kick in, and we're gonna benefit from that in more ways than one. So yeah, that's what I use, Google Keep. I mean, there's a lot of note-taking programs. I just like that because it's integration.
Absolutely. And I want you guys and Jason, I want you to share something here in a second, but Travis, I want to ask you something because, one of the 2 things that I see you guys doing, and then I'm going to pick on you for a second here, is because, again, we talked about those 4 elements that impact your belief system, your environment, right? The repetitious information, the personal experiences, right? And so, one of the things that I noticed, Travis, that you do, excuse me, and you've done, is you put yourself on a platform to be heard, right? And the crazy thing is, I think you hear yourself more than anybody else hears you. Not to say that you don't have a great platform, but when you go online on social media and you start talking, and there's something that says there's an analogy, not an analogy, but a phrase that says, set yourself on fire, and the world will come and watch you burn. And that's exactly what you've done. But at the same time, now you're hearing yourself as you go online and you share your information, your philosophy on investing or just life in general. You're hearing yourself, right? And so that's that confirmation. That's that auto suggestion. I want you to come on and tell us what that has done for you in terms of, because why I'm highlighting this is because people who don't who don't auto suggest or who don't put themselves out there, right? And I'm not saying you got to go live. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm just saying when you affirm something outwardly, right, it now holds a greater accountability for you, and it just increases your impact on what you believe. So, Mr. Jones, if you could tell us what that has done for you, just in the matter of you doing that.
Gotcha. Exactly. Well, basically, I mean, one thing that I know just based on kind of everything that I've done, right? You know, we've talked about many a times before, situations when I first got into trading, right, or investing, right? When I first got involved, I remember telling you and Jason, hey, I don't plan to talk to anyone. But it got to a point where, you know, personal development wise, I really started watching, you know, the Les Browns, the Zig Ziglars, the Tony Robbins, the Jim Rowans. And then I really saw, you know, the impact of what they were talking about. So now that I was getting the information, I felt, I can't say the need, but I felt the spirit to say, hey, you know what? I have this information. Me not sharing it would be selfish, whether it was personal development information or whether it was trading and financial information. I wanted to share it, right? And I wanted to make sure that I took the platform of social media and utilize that, because I know the power of the internet. I know the power of technology. So many people use that power and take it for granted and use it for negative things or just quote unquote entertainment purposes only. You know, that's when, you know, I like to talk about, let me see, I really like to talk about the positive, right? Because I know there's somebody out there that needs it, you know, and what that's done for me, it just, one, made me more consistent, you know, and made me more conscious of the individuals that do listen, because they reach out, man. I get notifications, you know, I get inbox messages, you know, about, you know, I needed that this morning. And my whole goal is just to impact my community. That was always a goal of mine, even at a young age, before I knew really what I was going to do, right? I didn't know that I was going to, I wanted to be an NFL player, right? But I wanted to give back. Once I got this million, I wanted to build a community center. I wanted to do something. So with the platform, with my voice, now that I have this smartphone that I can actually do videos and go live and touch 5,000 plus people, you know, I want to impact their lives in a positive way, because who knows what negative they may encounter today. And I want to really be able to give them something, a shield, a sword, or something that's going to help them, you know, fight through those demons throughout that day. And that's really what my mindset has been. You know, I do it just to, you know, add value, you know, to my timeline, to hopefully other people's timeline as well, you know, and it's encouraging, and it's also practice, you know, because I get to continue, you know, working on my craft, because one day possibly I'll be in front of 5,000 people, you know, in a room or in a stadium or something of that nature, right? So I want to make sure I'm available for that. And then my little girl over here wants this iPad very, very badly. But yeah, you know, that's really what it's done for me. It's going back, listening to it. You know, it shows me that when I had the ability to do certain things all alone, and I feel more confident, and it is reconfirming that the information that I'm putting into my spirit, I'm digesting it, because I'm spitting it right back out. And sometimes I surprise myself based on the things that I still remember, you know, or that comes back into my subconscious that I'm able to deliver, you know, then consciously. And another thing it does on a day-to-day basis, it has helped me prepare for the inevitable, right? You know, things are going to happen, right? You know, we know the world isn't perfect. So we understand negative and bad things are going to happen no matter how good of a person you are or try to be. But when you someone like myself who puts personal development to the forefront, it's almost like you're always prepared, right? You know, it's, you know, my thought process and my perception about a lot of things has changed. You know, I used to think, what if it goes wrong? I don't think that way anymore. I think of what if it goes right? You know, because now I continue to think. When we say, what if it goes wrong, we allow ourselves to stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, to me, you stop growing, right? So I want to put myself in a position to always think and stretch myself, to not say, hey, I can't do it, but how can I do it, right? And then if I try 50 times and fail, hey, guess what? I'm gonna try 51, but I'm gonna keep it moving. And I think this, nah, baby, you can't touch the keyboard. But yeah, if I try, you know, I want to be there for somebody, because I've seen so many people go through mental illness, depression, people, you know, negative thoughts. And I feel like if they see somebody, one, possibly from their hood, you know, or Travis, someone who can evolve, then maybe I can bring other people with me. They say, you know what? I can do that too. That's basically at the end of the day. What do you want? I don't have no kids, y'all. But she want everything. Mouse, laptop, phone, everything at the same time. But right. That's what I said. But yeah, it's just my whole goal is to impact others so they can see that it's possible, right? That's what Les Brown says, like, it's possible. You know, everybody that's on this call listening, y'all here to get some information because, you know, you want that motivation. You want to know how you can talk better to yourself, you know, because, and when you start talking about the vision board, I have my vision board up as well. But as you stated, we build a vision environment, right? We have Saturday calls. We have our group chats throughout the week. We can call and text each other when need be. You know, we built that environment, and I just want to build a larger environment, you know, to impact thousands of people, to say, hey, you can control your environment by your thoughts. Like you said, thoughts are things, right? Getting around the right people, right? Building a community of positivity, basically, what we want to do. Even in our trading group, you know, certain people who I see, like we talked before, man, I'm not getting this right vibe, and we move on, right? As simple as that. It's no hard feelings. If I don't like your vibe, I can't do business with you. You know, that's just, you know, how I look at it. You know, again, we want to be around quality people. But I definitely think it's important that, yes, you just start doing. You know, I could have been in the spot to say, hey, I'm going to wait till my garage is fully furnished to do this, which, of course, right now, it's not even close, you know, but I say, you know what, I have to start doing, right? There's somebody waiting on me. There's somebody waiting on Justin. There's somebody waiting on Jason. There's somebody waiting on Tuck. There's somebody waiting on Maurice. Everybody on this call, there's somebody waiting for you to step up, because they need to see you doing it, right? They need to see you doing it before they can do it. If Jason and Justin didn't go into Forex trading, I would possibly not be in Forex trading, right? There's somebody waiting on you to talk about mentorship or mental health, and they can feel that it's okay to not be okay and reach out for help. So, you know, your voice is important. You know, God gives us all gifts, and you want to go to the grave all used up, right? You don't want to leave anything behind. You want to make the impact. You want to leave the world a better place than it was when you got here. I want to leave it a better place for my children. I want to make it a better place for my children. So this is why I truly, you know, do what I do.
Man, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. And I know everybody on the Zoom this morning and wherever they listening to this, appreciate that as well. You know, I was sitting here listening to you talk, man, and it's, you know, it's funny because I can remember when we first met, and just watching your growth over the past, man, it's years, and you know, listening to Taylor in the background, and you know you got the little guy now, and you know you're engaged to be married to a wonderful young lady, and you know the growth, man, is just tremendous, you know, but it's all a part of the information, and you'll have to come back on and just talk about your growth process just in the past, you know, decade, you know, and just the transition of growth. But you know, that's so important that we have the right examples, and that we get the right information consistently, and that we have a goal, you know, and as you were speaking just now, you know, it just kind of clicked to me. You already had a goal, right? You already had a goal of impacting your community. And so all of this just kind of aligned with your goal. So when you saw something that could help with impacting your community, boom, it just made sense. It aligned with it. And so that's why it was so easy for you to entreat it, right? You know, when you already had a goal of wanting to have a family, you already had a goal of wanting to be married, you already had a goal of so all of these things were already, now maybe you didn't stated outwardly, but these were inward, things. And so, we just appreciate you for sharing, man. So much value that you add to us in this journey that we're on, and just excited to still be on this journey with you. And so, I wanted to hand it over to Jason real quick, because Jason, like I said before, when I think about the elements that impact your belief system, Travis identified him because he, his voice, he uses his voice all the time, with doing his videos. And so he's hearing it, but also as he stated, he has an impact on a larger community. But more importantly, he's hearing it himself. So it has an accountability to himself. But Jason, you're probably one of the people that, that gets information probably the fastest that I know. You're always hearing something or seeing something, or, you put information out there before probably the information is even put out there. You know what I mean? You have a way with technology that allows you to kind of just manufacture information in a way as well. But I want you to come on and talk about, because I mean, you make sure that you get the right information, which ultimately, has an impact on your belief system as a whole, and allows you to take the right action. And you're very methodical in your approach to your time as well. But I want you to come on and talk about, the information, and how you, why the information that you get, through the various sources are so important, and how that's impacted you.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. So, it's a very thorough topic, but just to kind of sum it up in a sense, you got to understand what your goals are. And like you said, when stuff align with it, then it just makes sense. And so, I've a couple years ago, I had the focus of time management for a long period of time, because I found I wanted to do so much, and somehow, like you said, 24 hours passed, and you're trying to figure out what did you get done, right? That took you too closer to that. And I was like, you know what? I got to get my time management under control, And so I looked it up. My boy G, he always come through, right? My boy G, whatever you need, I hit Google up. And when I looked up time management, lo and behold, Mr. Brian Tracy, world-renowned leading expert on time management. And so I basically just kind of was mentored by him. I grabbed everything I could from my boy, YouTube. My boy Y, he came through, I grabbed whatever I can. And I've always been connected to technology and information. And I'm of the mindset that I know anything's possible. It's just a matter of me figuring out how. And so people are like, how'd you do that? I'm like, I just thought about it, and I looked it up. I discovered, I found out. And so even when it came to Forex, I looked up something on YouTube. I looked up David and Manitier. I was like, okay, what you got going on, boss? And lo and behold, he's talking about Forex. And so what they say, what you're looking for is looking for you. And I think one of the best analogies, Dustin put me on to Bob Proctor and his You Were Born Rich series. And Bob Proctor, he said, there's music in this room, you just don't hear it. He's like, I can guarantee if I put out a radio and started tuning in to certain frequencies, you'll hear it then. And so he said, you got to have a conscious awareness, but also you got to be tuned in to the right frequencies. And so, that's being deliberate. So when you're deliberate and you understand what you're looking for, it's a whole lot easier to find it and stuff. And then a law of attraction kicks in and it starts to come towards you. And it's been many times when I was like, man, I'm going to focus on ministries in my business and millennials. And all of a sudden, you got people inboxing you and connecting. You run into people that falls into alignment with what you're looking for, what you're focused on, with your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. and traction comes towards it. And so many things, again, I could talk to, but it boils down to you having a clarity details of your goals. So one of my goals, again, was time management. And so I could speak on that. You know, I'm not the master, but my confession, my affirmation is that I'm a master specialist at time management, money management, and relationship management. And so I felt that was laid on my spirit years ago. I'm like, you know, anything I want to do in life is going to result in those three elements. So why don't I just make that my life's goal, just to study and get better and become the master specialist. If I'm a master specialist in time management, I can literally do anything because I can manage my time appropriately to get it done through the efforts of prioritization. Money management, you know, anything you do is going to take finances, so why don't I just become a master specialist at money management, you know, and be able to handle anything. And then relationship management, you can't do nothing without other people. You know, you got to be able to learn how to connect, communicate, speak. So I say, you know, relationship management, why don't I understand that? Why don't I become a master specialist? And I realize that being a specialist in any industry gets paid the most. So if I specialize in what I feel personally, the top three categories, you know, my possibilities are endless. They say the sky's the limit. And so, you know, because I have that goal set, that focus, and that affirmation I confess every day, the resources gravitate, information gravitate, people gravitate towards that. And that's how I can kind of be a little more, I guess, top of the line or first in motion when it comes, because my resources, right? I understand my mind moves faster than my body, so I might as well put my mind to work more than my body. And one thing I want to touch on lastly, which is not exactly what you asked me to speak on, but I think a very, very powerful element that a lot of people leave dormant and don't exercise is their imagination. Your imagination is almost a muscle. You got to exercise that thing, because your imagination got to be so good that your reality just tunes out. Like, you know, when you focus on something, distractions, you don't even notice them. When you focus on I-95 and you decide you're gonna go 80 miles an hour, you decide you're gonna, you know what I'm saying? You ain't trying to be reckless, but you know I gotta get somewhere, and I think this is where I can kind of push the pedal a little bit. Your focus just gets so intense on the road. It's like you don't notice nothing around you. You put your phone down, you put both hands on the steering wheel, you just stare in the front of you, and you floor it. And you have no idea how much stuff is around you, because it doesn't even matter. Right? And that imagination needs to be developed to that extent where nothing around you really matters, because you see yourself with the good that you desire. You see the end from the beginning. You know where you're clearly going, that it alters your mental state, your feelings just kick in like that. I can feel $1 million now, because I'm always imagining it, right? I'm going to shut up because you know I can keep going. But go ahead. I see
no,
you.
Man, no. Not at all, man. No. Man, you saying some good stuff, man. I mean, it's great. I'm just taking it all in over here. But you said so much stuff, man, that was just like, man, this is good. You know, but you would say that the first thing you said that I kind of took hold of, you said it's easier to get to where you're going when you know where you're going, or something to that degree. It's like, you know, and you said because you got a goal, because you set a goal, the resources just automatically manifest. And that's, you know, that's so key, because God don't know how to give you what you don't know what to ask for. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like,
the desires of your heart, but you ain't got no desires of your heart.
You ain't got no desires yet. You ain't got
to you desire your heart. You got to feel it. You got to be a part of you.
That's it. And that's why that's why we talked about the environment first, is because you got to see that thing. You got to see it so much that you feel it. It's an emotion, right? We live in emotion, ocean of motion. And so, like Jason said, man, it's this, you know, you can feel it. Tuck said he can feel it. Guys, keep it. You know, so it's all about the feeling. it's all about the feeling. And so, when you feel it deep down in there like that, you're on the right path, but you got to give yourself that feeling every single day. And so, man, Jason, man, I'm so blessed to be a part of this organization, man, with you and Travis and Tuck and all the other leaders that we have, on this road, and I'm just humbled, man. I'm humbled and grateful to be on this journey with you guys, and and that's not just words. I mean, I mean that tremendously, from the depths of my spirit. But because we've been on this journey for a while, but it's a self-gratifying journey. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else other than getting the best out of myself, pushing forward and giving back to people who I know would be able to benefit from this information. So I'm gonna I just want to open up one more time to see if we got any last closing remarks, anything anyone that want to share. Oh, one other thing I'll say about that imagination, you're so on point with that, Jason, with the imagination, because that's God says, well, I've read something that said the imagination is the greatest nation on earth. Okay, the imagination. And so again, you got to get yourself there. You got to put yourself there so that nothing else, even the present doesn't matter. I mean, it does to a degree, because your imagination has brought you to this point, right? But you got to imagine whatever you imagine right now becomes your future. Okay, so what's so more important, where you are right now, or the future, where you're going to be? Your imagination has the ability to get you there, right? And so, yeah, you got to operate in this physical plane right now, the current, right? But your imagination is what's more important, because it's going to take you to where you desire to be. And so I'm gonna open up real quick before we conclude the call this morning. Any last comments? Any last takeaways before we close it out this morning? Cool. Well, with that, man, we want to thank everybody for hopping on. I know we went kind of long, went a little longer this morning than anticipated, but I believe it was all good stuff. I think everybody got value on the call this morning. So we look forward to seeing you guys on the next call next Saturday, and invite some folks. We'll see you guys next week again, 10 a.m. East Coast Standard Time. Take care, take charge, and more importantly, tell somebody about the call next week. You guys have an awesome morning. Thanks again for all the presenters.